Not to put you on the spot or anything. All right, well, I'm going to have a little fun with this. I'm going to actually open up with a fun number here. A little Duke Ellington here. It was a style that was introduced on the Imperial in such an influential style that was eventually put on other of the models. So I'm going to just reach up and hit Satin Lady on here. And I use my, oh, it's in the key of C, thank goodness. And here we go. Thank you, thank you. Please hold the applause. No, no, no. Oh, I see it. Stop it, stop it, stop it. Well, thank you. I was having a little bit of issue with my little thing over here, so if you heard the volume jump in and out, I apologize. This is the Lowrey Imperial, and this is one of those instruments that when it was introduced, just a little backstory, was introduced in the year 2010 as a limited production model from Lowrey, and they made it from around February, give or take, through about August. And it was a very special unit because everything you see in here in organs today, large and small and bigger and in between, that has come out after the Imperial, a lot of these wonderful features and sounds were influenced by what this model introduced. So some of the styles you may hear today might be on your instrument, some of the features, what have you, and obviously, hopefully, some new ones. But what made the Lowrey Imperial was the fact that, first of all, as all flagship models, they have this real beautiful style cabinet that was very unique to this instrument, and it was the first time actually they introduced a model with a double screen, which allows us to do multi-functions. Now, Sean is going to put up probably from time to time as I'm talking, he may put up there, and there's a great example of the double screen. Now, the neat thing about the double screen is that a lot of instruments that have the touch screen, you have a touch screen on the left. That's the home screen, and most models that have one touch screen, that's what it looks like. And when you touch it, that screen goes away to the other screen that you use. On double screen, everything you touch and activate on the left side remains, and the right side makes all the changes. And so in that example there, when I select a rhythm style, if I put on the Foxtrot button, all of the rhythm styles pop up on the screen. The left home screen remains. And that'll hold true for anything else that I do. So from time to time, and when you see me playing, you'll see me reaching over, hitting the preset info button. That'll make the right screen change. The left home screen stays the same all the time. and continue on to some of the great styles of the Lowrey Imperial, you're going to again see and hear some of the most influential styles that were introduced on this instrument. If anybody likes country music, this is one of my favorite country ones. It's called Ring of Cash. I don't know if you ever heard of Johnny Cash. And if you haven't, your parents may have told you who Johnny Cash was. He did a lot of great country music, a lot of great hits. And this one here is kind of fun because you can play actually many songs, hit songs by Johnny Cash. Here we go. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hold the applause. Well, I see you applauding in there. So that was a wonderful. Now you're going to see and hear some more styles as we go through, but I got to talk about sounds and what unfortunately you're not going to be able to experience is the sound system that I have on here, and that is actually I'll have Sean give him a chance to find a picture of the speaker system, actually the full picture first, and what you'll notice is that this style of cabinet is actually just like all of our flagship models, but what's even more impressive is the way that bench provides the sound experience that everyone would love to have when they sit down an instrument. It is the only instrument that Lowrey has ever made to have the sound system that I'm going to explain. Now, if you go, I see his arrow moving over. He's going to go to the next picture there. And if you see on the bench, we have, as I'm sitting at the bench, there's a speaker on that side. There's also one on the other side, which surrounds you, the player. And then the next screen down, there's speakers in the back in case you ever have company. That sound projects that way. And then as we go to, yeah, there we go. And then there's, of course, a separate volume control just for those speakers. And you'll see one there that says lights, and that's just to put the lights on the bottom. And then there's a bass button. That's because there's one speaker underneath the seat that you can activate, turn on or off the bass. So if you don't want to feel the bass, you just turn the switch. But what I will say is that that bass, the volume, is moderate enough so it's not bothersome, and it just adds to the experience of the sound. Now the other thing there is you have the drawers that are really nice because what I discovered is there's never going to be a bench big enough to hold all of our music, but it's nice having the drawers on the sides where you can put your favorite music. And if you see on the left side of that picture, there's a slot there for CDs and what have you, or your martinis. And of course, if you go to the right, you can put your books. And there's even still some room in that, besides the CDs, to put your owner's manuals and what have you. So just a little bit of the bench, and I'll kind of refer to it from time to time. In fact, I have the option to turn speakers on here or here as I perform. You will not notice a change when I do that, but I'll point it out. I'll notice it, and that just tells you that the speaker system in here, wherever you're channeling the sound, you're always going to get this magnificent sound. Now, in some of the models that have been introduced over the years, there's a lot of great Latin styles, there's a lot of great ballads. One of my favorite ballads this was introduced was a style called Wonderful World. Now, I know a lot of people are familiar with that style, and it was a big hit for many for still to this day. There was another style that was introduced that's absolutely great for all your ballads and what have you, and I'm going to just use simple music here, easy play music, and I'll put it up, and let's see if I could just find it in alphabetical order here. And I don't know if you're familiar with an artist by the name of Barry Manilow. Some of you may know who Barry Manilow is. And what made Barry Manilow is he had a lot of great hits they kind of fall into the category of contemporary. And what's great is he really, his music was well loved by generations across the board. And one of his hit songs was, many hit songs was I Write the Songs. And I'm going to find it eventually. Here we go. So I'm just going to put on the style called Write the Songs. And it sounds like this. Some really gorgeous music. And what's great about that style, it's under the soft and easy category. So if you put it on in the intros, twos, and the alter styles, you get a totally different magical style that you can use for all your great ballads. Now, speaking of styles, a lot of times people ask me, how many styles does the Imperial have? Well, it depends on how you look at it. And this is kind of fun because this will allow those who have all these wonderful styles, plus the new ones, of course, but if you have some of these styles, it's another way of taking your music to a different level. Now, I don't know if we have this on a slide or not. If you do, you can put it up, but I'll point it out over here. All Lowrey models have either what's called a rhythm preset or style setup. Okay? Now, on here we have it's called the normal rhythm preset and an organ rhythm preset. And here's how this works. Works like what you're used to. So you'll see there's two buttons. When I press the normal rhythm preset, it works like virtually every model that has this option, rhythm preset or style setup. You get 0. So normal without any number pressed is a 0. And then as you press the other 10 buttons, 10 presets, you get 10 other setups for the upper and lower for every style of music. And that can be from pianos, guitars, to organs, strings, vocal, you name it. It's a variety of sounds, okay? On the other button it says organ rhythm preset. Now this was done very cleverly because some people say, I love the sound of the organ, but gosh, I wouldn't use organ for everything. Well, these were done in a way that can be enjoyed by all. When I touch the organ rhythm preset button, it works the same way. 0 gives me a setup that has an organ combination. They're not just organ sounds. And as I use the 10 presets, I get 10 other settings. Now here's how this works. Pay very close attention. The organ preset on the top keyboard gives me 11 different setups that has different combinations with vibes and strings and vocals, but with a touch of some of the organ sounds or the flute settings. They're more like blending, and sometimes they're just organ. And on the bottom, they give me 11 other different setups using the orchestrals and the solos. So you have 260 styles times 22 setups. That's a lot of presets, all of which show up on my right screen, not interfering with my left screen. Now go ahead and bring that screen back up. You saw something up there when he had it on there. It said 260 or 40, I'm sorry, all new rhythm styles. Here's how this works. Leave it right there. I'm going to put on a rhythm style that is loved by virtually everyone, and some of you are familiar with it, and it's called Unforgotten. for the unforgettable music of Nat King Cole. Okay? And I'm going to play the introduction and let the introduction play, and then a measure or two after it's done playing. Listen. So as you're listening to that, that's the style. And it's got all the strings in the background and so forth, and the ending too. Perfect for that song. So that was nice. But what Lowrey did is they created a way that can take every single style that's listed on the model, and by the press of a button, organ rhythm preset 0, and it takes every one of those styles and takes the band members and changes them into an organ accompaniment along with the rest of the band. So, and in some cases, I've actually had some students say, you know, I put the Broadway on, that's real strong and bright, but I like to sometimes put on the organ rhythm preset. It makes it a little more easy. And your setups all remain as they are. So listen, the same style, it's a whole nother total beautiful with the organ rhythm preset. Fill-ins and all. Now you have up to 240 different styles. And as an example, just the intro and the ending, here's your typical Broadway. Which is typically a very bright sound with the brasses and so forth. Same one with the 0, and listen. So you got a lot of fun things you can do with that. Now, going back to some of the other great styles of music, I love this song because it was actually a song and a style influenced by the great Dolly Parton. And I'm going to go to my easy play music here and simply play a wonderful hit. Now, this style, what's really great is the way it's written, and I'm using my easy play music. It was actually designed for the demonstration of this model. It'll tell me to use the style that it wants me to use, and then the alter style. Now, there's a lot of music out there, a lot of songs that, yes, you play, you hear the beat, you play on beat, etc., etc. Then there are songs that sometimes it's best to not try to play to a beat. You play to what you've heard, not to sound cliche, the way it feels. And you play at the speed and the tempo for the way it feels until you're ready to go to the next part of the song. Now, to demonstrate this, I'm going to explain it to you, show it to you, and then do it in the song format. So I'm going to put on the style that was a signature style for this, for those were the days, my friend. And here is the opening introduction, and I'm going to have the alter style, just like it tells me. Here we go. That was a regular polka. That wasn't the style. Here we go. Now listen to that. It's designed so you can hear a beat if you really listen, but it's also designed so if you don't, you can play at the speed that you want. Listen. I'm going to take my time when I'm ready to go to the next part. Thank you. Give the Imperial a big round of applause. Woo-hoo. Oh, I'm having fun. I hope you're having fun. I am. Well, what would an instrument be, an influential instrument be, without influential things like presets? And if you're looking at the dash there, you can kind of see there's bank presets and categories like very many of the models. But I'm going to go into this category, and I'm going to bounce around. So, Sean, don't worry about trying to screen share because there's a couple categories I want to show off in here. And some that have some of the greatest sounds that you would find. I actually use some of these sounds when I'm doing some finales, and sometimes when I'm doing some of the when I switch to organ sounds, I play some of those new sounds that they have here. And then there's some category sounds that really give me some beautiful guitar sounds with these beautiful sound effects that complement. So I'll do a little bit of each. And I'm going to start with this one here. This was a category setup that I found that gave me a lot of great different sounds. So if when I want to play songs like, like this. In case you're wondering how I got that, I see some faces like, how did you do that? That was built into this preset of some of these new settings here, where it gave me this beautiful wind chime with ambience of a little bit of a nature sound. In fact, they call it nature. Or we have this really beautiful big symphony sound. Now watch this. On the bottom keyboard, there's a built-in timpani roll for the ending. I've used that same setup for the song Theme for My Ice Castles many times, and a lot of people ask, well, how did you get that sound? How did you get that? And sometimes I keep it a secret because it makes it look like I made up all this stuff, and sometimes I say all I did was use those new category presets. Now, this next one here is a category setup that actually I think this will go to you, Clifford. You guys are in England right now? Yes? Okay, maybe you can pull up that screen for them. And there's another page of presets here that say A, B, C, D, E, and then there's A, B, C, D on the panel. And the reason for this was the first time this feature was introduced, where you now have the option of accessing your bank presets A, B, C, D, and E in two places. And the reason for that is, for those who decide to use presets with a USB, you can program the ones on the dashboard here, but the factory ones go away. If you like to use both, you have them in two places now. So it makes it easy to access. But you'll see there's a few other sounds and theater sounds in here. One is called Theater 2 US, Theater 3 UK, and Finales. And from what I understand, the Theater 3 UK were theater sounds sampled from an organ in Blackpool, England. At what time? Or they might still be there. Clive, you could tell if it's still there. That theater sound, that theater organ, had a totally different sound than some of the theater organs in the U.S. And so you're going to hear some of those. And then I got to tell you about the finales. That's pretty phenomenal too. So Theater 3 UK was really phenomenal. You go from some really gorgeous, good old classic theater sounds to airy, nice what they call Vox sounds, to some big full ensemble type sounds, etc. And here we go. Here's the initial one. So those are some of the beautiful theater sounds there. And then there's another one there that was called Finale. And these, by the way, were created by Jim Vogelman. And some of you may know the name Jim Vogelman. And he is known in the world as one of the best when it comes to making arrangements and sounds and presets. And they commissioned him for these. And the idea of these finale sounds was that when you're done playing a song and you want to finish off with something big, we're always fumbling around sometimes looking for that one preset, and typically we say go to number 10. Well, number 10 is not always the sound that's a good sound for that. And so what he did is he gave us 11 different categories of big finale sounds that work for all genres. So if you're doing symphonic, you're doing maybe you're doing some sacred music, you're doing big band music. So for example, This one here says jazz brass. So if I want to finish off with a song, a sound with a big band, I can do a jazz brass finale. I'll use some of those a little bit later. Beautiful big string finale sounds. Now, I have something else I have to show you that's actually very important, because most of what I'm demonstrating today is without pedals, with the exception of what I just did. Now, if you noticed a couple times, you heard a little bass or two. This instrument has a button here that says pedals off. Okay? So I can, if I don't, it'll put on the bass pedals. Let me turn it up here. Here we go. All right? If I put that pedals off button, what allows me to do, if I can do this without disconnecting, it allows me to stand
forward a little.
Huh?
I said I would scoot the computer forward because I can see just the bottom of the
okay,
the
all right, let me move this. I don't want to unplug myself here every time I do this stuff. How's that? All right, where am I going? Back over here? Back to here? Right here? Is that what you were? What?
It works.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a pedals off button, and if I turn it, it's on. It's activated. It's weird because you gotta turn it off to turn it on to turn it off. Basically, we're turning the pedals off. So when you activate that button, I'm standing on the pedals. If I turn it off, whoop, you get that. So now there's another cool option here that I don't need to use because I use that feature a lot. But while I'm playing, my left foot, let's see if I can do this angle here. You probably can't see it from that angle, but what I have is what I call a doodad. It looks like this. And it's not really called a doodad. That's my made-up word. I probably should tighten the screws on this, but it's a heel rest. So as I'm playing, I can actually put my heel up on the instrument, and I can slide it wherever I want. Because sometimes I'll play, I actually like to get both feet, and then there's this. And then there's some people who say, well, I don't feel like messing with those. Actually, they can come off if you like. But what I found is this. This magnificent invention. And it slides over, and it goes perfectly in. Now, I don't know if you can see it from that angle there. I don't know. Can you see? Kind of see? Let me move over. If I disconnect, don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Okay. So I don't know how well you can see that or not. But what happens is your foot very easily goes here. You can put your foot on the expression pedal. And then as you're playing, you have a place for your foot. And what I found was between that and the bench and the adjustments on the bench, the more comfortable you are playing the instrument physically, the longer you stay at it. The longer you stay at it playing music, the better you get. To me, practicing is merely just playing and having a good time. The more you do it, the better you get at it. So just a couple fun little things you can do to make whatever works for your body, and the bench and the speakers, and you can adjust and so forth. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to activate the speakers button, and I'm going to turn on the speakers just in the bench, and I don't know if you'll notice a difference or not. And more than likely you won't. You will not, because of the way the speaker system works. And I'm going to play another style here that's near and dear to my heart. Now, this was kind of interesting. I'm going to need Sean's help for this one because I can never say it right. But the hit song "Can't Help Falling in Love" has been a hit song. It's been loved by many. I've heard many renditions of it. All great, thank goodness. And then, I can't remember how long ago it was, but a while back, this Hawaiian ukulele island artist took a lot of songs and he redid them in a kind of an islandy flavor. And there's two songs in particular that became a huge hit when he did that. One of them was Wonderful World, and I believe this was the other. And when you hear this, the style is called, let me find it, traditional, there it is, island dance, but it's got a real nice island flavor to it. And the guy's name is, I know it's short for something. I just call him Iz. How do you say the name, Sean?
His full name is Israel Kamakame Wiwiole. Let's try spelling
Okay,
that.
if you could say that 5 times really fast, I'll give you a free black carpet thing. But you have to learn that you got to do it in 5 minutes. Just kidding. Say that name again.
Do I have to? No.
Yes, you do.
Israel Kamakame Wiwiole.
There you go. If you say that too fast too many times, you might say something bad. But here we go. It's a beautiful, beautiful song, beautiful style. Listen. Beautiful style, and you can play so many great island type styles with it. But actually, it's great. You can take. In the beginning, I don't know if you noticed, but those melodies, "What a Wonderful World" and "Can't Help Falling in Love" are so similar. I have to think for a minute. Which one am I going to play? Get the notes straight. But they work great for that and many others. Now, I mentioned a little about the style and the bench and the sound system and so forth. But there's a few things that you do have to know that. Cosmetically, because this always gets brought up, but it is important. Yes, for those of you who have a roll top, yes, it does have a roll top. However, here's what a lot of people don't realize. There are instruments out there that are physically smaller overall in size, like fanfares, performers, sensations, and what have you. Even the Inspires and the Rialtos, those instruments were a little bit smaller in width. The height is almost the same, give or take, but here's what a lot of people don't realize with an instrument like this. Compared to all the models that I just mentioned, Journey, Fanfare, Inspire, Rialto, Stardust, Royale, Performer, Sensation, the profile distance, because if you were to take a tape measure and go from the bottom of the organ and measure it all the way to the top, it would be a taller instrument overall. Okay? But what Lowrey did, their engineers and their design was very clever. Because the instrument is taller to making this style, they made the bench accommodate the height. Okay? So, okay, that's good. What does that do? Well, that just gets us to what we call the profile distance, okay? In other words, when you sit at any model, virtually any model, should I say, the benches that go with those models typically put the person at the height where the keyboard comes to the same. So if I was to go to our little Freedom 3 model, the small 2-keyboard organ, it's way smaller in size, but if you were to go sit at that organ with the bench, you'll find that the bottom keyboard, where that is, comes to almost the exact same spot. All right? So that's important. But here's the part that has been well received by many. Eyesight is a thing that's ever changing with a lot of us. And I hear a lot of students tell me, when you get, wait till you can be my age, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The eyes aren't always used to be. So what Lowrey did is the profile distance from here to here, that's the profile distance, or here, okay? But this is most important because we have the music rack extender. Now check this out. The music rack extender pulls out, and you do have the option of having in the rack here, and it does. I don't know if you'll be able to see it with the lights there, but let's see if I can turn it on. So you might see that the lights came on. There's actually lights that light up there, and there was a couple models that had that. But this profile distance here is actually 2 inches lower than all of the models that I just mentioned. How they did that was by reconfiguring in the design of the instrument to offer all the things that the flagship model has to offer. A little bit of cut here, a little bit of there, a little bit of change here. And this is actually 2 inches lower than all of the models that I just mentioned. Now, 2 inches, by the way, when I first heard that, I thought, big deal. Of course, I wasn't wearing glasses then. And then I found out that a lot of students said, you try 2 inches makes a huge difference. So this actually brings it straight at eye level, pulls it out very close without covering up the dashboard. And I guess they could have made it a little further, but then it would have been a chin rest, and we don't want that. So just a lot of amazing things that they've done with the styles, the styling of the cabinet and what have you. The other little thing, these are the little things that mean a lot to me. You have back panel lighting, so it allows you to control the back panel lighting. You can have it as dark or as light as you want it. You can actually have 3 different settings in the ABCs. I have some people say, I need my letters, I need to see them very easily, I want to be able to see it as easily as possible. Some people say it's annoying, so they turn them off. But you have 3 settings, dim, medium, and bright. I kind of like it in between. I like that nice little balance between having it just right. So many different things that they've done to configure the instrument so that when you're sitting at it, you're comfortable with the bench right where it has that nice soft spot. And you have the option of having the sounds and the setups however you want it. You don't have to worry about foot pedals making the booming noise, or you can use the footrest and what have you. Onward to some more music. Another hit song. I'm going to go back before your time here to a an artist. I don't know if your parents told you about a person by the name of Ray Charles. Do you know who Ray Charles? Carol Montgomery. Your mom must have told you who that guy was. It's before your time. All right. So, and I'm not telling you the show's over by playing the song. By the way, I just really like the song. Okay. So the style is called "Hit the Road." The song is called "Hit the Road, Jack." Now I'm going to go to one of those finale sounds, that brass finale. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Please hold the applause. Oh, I hope you guys are having some fun today. I am. I could spend all day playing this instrument. So many wonderful styles and sounds that are coming out of here, and they're all. And if you've noticed, all I'm using is the simple rhythm preset that's right built on the instrument, or the new category presets that I mentioned earlier. Now, play one more style here for you. This is kind of fun because some people have this style on their instrument, but this is where it originated, and on this model and all of the models above, the Marquis, the Aria, I'm sure you've heard those names before, the Grand Marquis, the Liberty, and the Patriot, they actually have this full orchestral arrangement of this. What Lowrey has done over the years are very good marketing. For example, if I put on a style called soft gospel, and some of you know Jerome here, he works with me here, he loves this style. He plays soft gospel with everything. Sometimes he'll play a big band song with soft gospel. No, just kidding. But he does. What's really clever is he plays a lot of great songs with it, and it works. And it sounds like this. Let me just give you a little taste. Okay, so that's how that style sounds, and it's nice and full. And what Lowrey did on some of the E-series models, the EY ones in particular, what they did was just really clever marketing. Is they took those styles and they put it on there, but they may have changed it to a pianist category. So in other words, that same style, you'll hear it, but with just a piano background. And it works. It's a beautiful style. But if you want the full symphonic arrangement, you don't get it. They don't want you to get the best of both worlds, of course. And it was just good marketing on their part. And they did that with a lot of the pianist styles. And they sounded good. Don't get me wrong. I love them. Actually, I love the way they took the soft guitars and it's the mellow guitars. But on the Imperial, you get to have the best of both worlds. So if I want that same style, just by turning the Orchestra Plus off, you get the same thing. Now you have the piano style. So what happens is every style that's on here, you have a full band or you have the pianist or guitarist built into it. Whereas they took some of those styles that were loved and they altered them to make it work. Now, going back to this style, this was a fun style because there are some models that have it, but it's not the fully orchestrated version of it. And this one's called Jumpin' Jazz, and this is, when you hear this, again, this may be dating you a little bit, going before your time, but this was the arrangement styling of Les Brown and his band of renown. Are you familiar with that name? Some of you might. Your mom and dad may have told you. Ronald, you're shaking your head. Your parents told you all about Les Brown and his band of renown. And what's really clever is when I reach up and hit the alter style, it just really kicks in with a piano solo. And I'm going to use that finale brass sound again. So here we go. Listen. Here comes Miles' style on here. Take a little break here. My hands get tired. Now pay attention to my right hand. Here we go, occasionally. Thank you. Isn't that fun? You saw all that 2 fingers there? Now, by the way, some of you have seen this on the models. You may have it, you may not. But this is called the Virtuoso. And the Virtuoso, what it was originally designed for was when you're playing along, you get these beautiful arpeggios. You get these really pretty sounds, and whatever you're using, you go, oh, that's a pretty style. Floating away. And what happens is you can do that, but on here they have a button where you can actually take the sound from the upper keyboard and put it in there. So case in point, here's a style. If you're ever worried about your timing, this is a style to use. There is no timing. You can't hear a beat. Listen to it. In fact, it does count, but if you try following the beat, it actually makes it hard to follow. It's one of those styles that say, hey, if you're having trouble with timing and you're playing especially a slow song, just put this style on and you play at the tempo that feels right. And then up here, the sounds that's here, I can switch and put in here, and I get these beautiful. Pretty. In tempo, you play at your tempo, however you want to do it. Well, I'm going to finish up with one last song here, and I want to thank you so much for coming out today. And I got to play this style. This is a fun style because a lot of people don't think to use this style, but you can use it for many ways. The style is called Slum Doggy, and I don't know. I'm going to look at you, see what your show of not by your nodding nodding your head, yes or no. Some people are familiar with this movie called Slumdog Millionaire that came out back in, I want to say, late 2000s or so. It took place in, if I'm not mistaken, in the Middle East, or was it India? Andrew, you shaking your head. Do you know that? So, well, where did that take place at?
India.
India. That's what I thought. And it was
India.
yeah, okay, and that was and it was a really good movie, and the theme song Slumdog Millionaire, the theme song to that, when you hear this introduction, it's actually designed for that. But I've had a lot of students that got into an instrument and said, "What? I don't know what song to play with it other than that." You know, because when you hear it, it sounds like this. Pretty. So that's, it's a great style. Dennis All came up with the idea. He said, why don't you use it for temptation? And so and it works nicely for that. But there's another song that I'm going to play with it that I do a lot, that I learned from Joe Fontesha. So I'll tell you about that in a minute. But first, again, I want to thank you for joining us and having a good time with me today and playing this magnificent instrument I absolutely love. I will tell you that it's one of those instruments that was when it came out, Lowrey could not keep up with the production. And since the Imperial was introduced, here are all the flagship models that were introduced after that. Are you ready? Sterling, Patriot, Liberty, Marquis, Grand Marquis, Aria. 6 flagship models since 2010 through the year 2016 or 17. That's almost one a year. And that's just crazy to have a flagship model every year. So as time went on, we we get focused on whatever the newest is, and we always have models that have so much to offer that was so influential that tend to be put off to the side. And recently I've been playing and performing and educating on this model, and I'm just falling in love even more and more and more. And the sound, I'll tell you what, there's one thing you have to do if you're able to do it. If you're able to go to one of the Electro Music Center's stores, go in, have them set up the instrument, and just sit here in the middle and just listen to the sound. It literally will take you to another place because the sound just surrounds you, and you don't have to do it at a bursting volume. You do it at a volume that you can tolerate, and you just feel like you're engulfed in the sound. It's absolutely magnificent. So with that said, before I finish off my last song, what I'm going to do is encourage you to reach out to the staff members and find out some information about this model, because it is absolutely phenomenal. And it is at the top of our list on our largest liquidation sale that we sent out last week. And I'm going to tell you, the first 3 in the company, the first 3 orders that we take are going to have the best pricing that we're going to offer, the best opportunities. I can't tell you more than that. If you want to know more, you have to pick up the phone and call your local store. If you don't have one, just send me an email. You know how to get in touch with me. and I can put you in the right direction. So again, I'm going to encourage you to do that. With that said, let me tell you about this last thing. Let me set this up here. This last number here, using the Slumdoggy style, and that is, I mentioned the name Joe Fontesha. Anybody know the name Joe Fontesha? I know some of the students have seen him. He's going to be again featured this Friday. He actually, when this came out, he told all the students that he was going to play this song with this style. I thought, he's nuts. That's never going to work. Well, you know, I use it all the time with this style now, using my own arrangement. But I'm not going to use my own USB. I'm going to use what's built into the instrument. So here is Slumdoggy, and I'm going to use rhythm preset, and I'm going to use, we'll just do 4. We'll start off with just these nice big string sounds, and you're just going to be blown away by, and I'm going to go to the D bank. It's got all this big symphonic sounds, and you'll know the song when you hear it. Here we go. Let me put it just a tad bit down on the tempo. Thank you very much. We hope you enjoyed that wonderful presentation. Big round of applause. You can unmute yourself and do an applause if you like. Let's see, ask to unmute.
Bravo, bravo.
Yes,
bravo.
thank you, thank you. And let's give a big round of applause to the Lowrey Imperial. They have a soul and a mind of its own. Big round of applause. Yoo-hoo. Oh wait, I better do one too. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, thank you very much. We'll be in touch, or you can be in touch, and we'll talk to you very soon. And we have lots of great things in store for you moving forward. So see you soon.